समस्त जन कल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम् वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। Okay, so verse 31st today, and we start. सर्वभूतस्थितं यो मां भजत्येकत्वमास्थितः सर्वथा वर्तमानोऽपि स योगी मयि वर्तते. Now look what it says. He who, being established in unity, worships me, who dwells in all beings, that yogi abides in me, whatever be his mode of living. Now just see, look, this is a very interesting verse. As it says, first of all, it says he who means yah. In Sanskrit, there is a word called yah. Yah is a pronoun which is a universal pronoun. It is not like he, she, it, they. It is whosoever. So yah includes everybody. Whosoever. So he who, being established in unity. Now established in unity, आप इसको कैसे judge? How will you judge this thing? Established in unity. When you say established in unity, look, to judge anything, you have to lift yourself to the level of the one that you are judging or above that level. You have to generally be a judge, always has to know more than the one he is judging, isn't it? So we can't really judge as such a yogi, that who is a yogi, because the yogi, I mean, a person like you and I are not at that level, so we cannot judge. But a yogi is one who himself has risen to the level of the higher reality, and therefore this is yah, he who being established in unity, sthita. See, he says sarva bhuta sthita. That means he is not only established in the higher reality, but because the higher reality is all pervasive, according to Vedanta, the higher reality is all pervading. So this man also identifies with everything, everybody, everywhere, right? So you can only appreciate him if you are at that level, which you are not. Now, that kind of spiritual height, when you reach, then you can realize, you can appreciate a realized master. Otherwise, you try to judge him according to your level of understanding. See, a musician, he alone can recognize the finer notes, the finer nuances of music, and appreciate them. A person who has no knowledge of, say, classical music, he cannot appreciate classical music, right? A painter who does not know, I mean, somebody who's judging a painting, he is judging only from vision, but he is not judging from the aesthetics of art, which other painters know, and the brushwork and this and that, and the light and shade effects, and there's so many things in painting. So that person, only a painter will know, what is the good part of it, what is the bad part of it, like that. Similarly, doctors, when they talk to each other, have you heard doctors talking to each other? They use so much of technical language, they are all the time talking technically to each other, and you stand there looking at, because you know nothing. Similarly over here, ये जो word है, ये देखो, सर्वथा वर्तमान, no matter whatever are his activities, he says sarvatha vartamanopi sa yogi may vartate. That means a man who is established in the higher unity of the world, Such a man is a yogi, no matter what he is doing, whatever may be his profession, whatever may be his activity, he is still a yogi, as they say. Huh? Now, he may live and act in any kind of situation, in any way, but you and I cannot judge him because that man will never do a wrong thing. Dekho, I'll tell you. See, a doctor has a right to kill. Now, when I say the doctor has a right to kill, means that if the patient dies, the doctor has killed. You will say technically the doctor has killed, but then you cannot call him a murderer. A judge has pronounced a sentence on a criminal that hang him till dead. But a judge has killed, yes, but the judge is not a murderer. Got my point? So, whatever this man does, he does with the correct motive, with the correct thing, no matter what he indulges in. So, this is a very important verse telling you that also it tells you that the realized master will always do karma. He is not going to go and sit in a cave, or he is not going to go and hide in the Himalayas. He is going to work and he is going to do things. But what he does cannot be judged by you and me. And it is a very, very, he will never, never do anything wrong. Now, see, the greatest misunderstanding is that spiritual realization is a death knell of activity. ना people think that अगर आप realize हो गए so then you don't need to do anything. You are inactive. You are like a stone near the Ganges. आप बैठे रहो. Who cares for you? So should people go in for that? Who wants to become like that? Nobody wants to become like that, and they think that he will not do any work, but that is not true. Yes, while he is doing sadhana, he needs to retire and be a recluse. He has to go into some ashram or some place where he can quietly do his sadhana. Yes, at that time he does. But once he is realized, they all come and work. It is a culture in India. See, you know, let us talk of recent examples. I mean, last century's examples. Raman Maharishi, all the time working for the good of others. Swami Vivekananda, Swami Ramakrishna, Swami Shivananda. Swami Shivananda was a doctor. He had even opened a clinic over there, free charitable clinic, and he used to treat so many sick people. So what was he doing or not working? Vivekanand, wasn't he working? Swami Chinmayanand, not resting even a little bit. He was constantly on the move from place to place in the world, teaching people this great grand knowledge. And he was a master of the Gita. So what were all these people? They were people who were working. Na? So what they are doing is not for us to judge, but yeah, their thing is Gita only says that they constantly work sarva bhuta hite rataha. Sarva bhuta hite sarva bhuta. That means for the benefit of all. They don't just choose people. Whosoever comes in contact with them, they are helping that person without any partiality, without any. So they live in an unbroken awareness of divinity, that I am that and he is playing through me. Okay, come to verse 32. It says, आत्मोपम्येन सर्वत्र समं पश्यति योऽर्जुन सुखं वा यदि वा दुःखं स योगी परमो मतः. So this verse, it says, he who through the likeness, sameness of the self, O Arjuna, sees equality everywhere, be it pleasure or pain, he is regarded as the highest yogi. Now, be it pleasure or pain, this includes all the dualities, you know, heat, cold, happiness, sorrow, pleasure, pain, anything at all, any situation, any condition, he is happy in that. You know, this is stoicism. The word in English is stoicism, right? तो वो उनको हो जाता है कि ये, because they consider everything as him alone. They are not separate at all from them. Now you see, they understand. देखो एक चीज समझ लो, the body is matter. It is matter. Huh? Huh? Carbon, calcium, phosphorus, water, skin, bones, thing. Tell me, if you keep all these things on the, can they talk intelligently to you? Can they even talk? Can they understand anything? Nothing. So understand that the sentiency in matter is him. The vibrancy in matter is him. The brilliancy of the intellect, the brilliancy that comes out from his teaching is contacted by the brilliancy of your mind. It is not the gray matter contacting another gray matter, that's matter. It is his intelligence, which is the Lord alone, and your intelligence, which is the Lord alone playing out. The Bible says the Lord is in your heart, and it is he that enlivens everything. The Lord is in your heart, and it is he that enlivens everything. When you say everything, it means again all pervading. The Lord has to be all pervading if he is the one enlivening everything. Otherwise, it is all dead matter. It is only the Lord who enlivens, right? Okay. Raman Maharishi, you know, once an Australian came to Raman Maharishi in his ashram, and he said that you are a great master. Can you show me God? He said, yes, of course I can show you God. It's very easy. So he said, show me. So Raman Maharshi put up his finger and kept moving his finger like this. And he says, do you see God? So that man said, no, I don't see God. So he said, yes, that is the difficulty. It is easy to show God, but it is difficult to see God. The finger is moving, that is God moving. Bone and flesh and skin cannot move. The finger comprises of bone, skin, flesh, blood, whatever. None of those things can move. But if you see that which cannot move, moving, who is moving? That is God. So he showed him that. So the realized master is established in this, and he likens himself to all equally. He says over here, see, it says, he who through the likeness, sameness of the self, O Arjuna, sees equality everywhere. Okay, see, do you hate your right leg? You cannot. Which wave can the ocean hate? All waves are him alone. All the waves are the ocean. So this realized master understands that each and every person, each and every insect, animal, amoeba, tree, plant, everything is the Lord himself, and the Lord is also he himself, and therefore you cannot hate anybody. The realized master cannot hate anybody, incapable of hating. Another example which Ramcharitmanas gives is that if by chance the teeth bite the tongue, will you cut off your tongue? No. Or will the teeth, or sorry, will you break your teeth because they cut your tongue? No, you will not break your teeth. In fact, the tongue will not even go and complain to the dentist that the tooth has cut my tongue, so please take out the tooth, break them out. The tongue will not do that, because the teeth are also you and the tongue is also you. And that is the kind of vision which, and therefore, helping the entire world becomes their sacred duty. And you automatically, like, the Christian thing, that love thy neighbor as thyself, that becomes automatic over here. It's automatic. This is what is being advised, that this is the true yogi, that he loves all, he cares for all, he works for all. Sarva bhutite rataha, Gita says. Huh? So you are all the time into that and all the time working for uh, the benefit of others. Okay, let's come to the see the Chinmay Mission pledge. Before I go to the next verse, I am just reminded of the Chinmay Mission pledge. It also says that our goal is maximum happiness for the maximum number. So, what is the mission trying to do? Same thing. That it is each individual's duty not to all the time think of yourself and cry about yourself and your problems in life. You need to spread your arms around and see who needs help, who is sorrowful, whom can I embrace, whom can I benefit. Ask yourself this question all the time. Don't all the time be with yourself and me, and me. So that is the yogi. Okay, now the goal is very fascinating. Yes, Krishna has given this whole goal, and it is a very, very fascinating goal, that you should be above duality, above pleasure and pain. You see equality everywhere. You are the same to everyone. You love everybody. You embrace everybody. You are this, you are that. Okay, it all sounds very, very good. But Arjun, being a practical man, he thinks that it's very nice to hear, but it is not practical. It is impossible for people to achieve this goal. Now, also understand, in Hinduism is one religion where a teacher is always questioned by the student. I've said this many times before. The Gita is all about question and answer. Arjun does not leave his teacher. Every time he finds a doubt in his mind, he holds the teacher by the collar and says, "Okay, sir, what about this? You saying this, but what about this?" And here, look, he poses a practical problem. And he says that what you're saying is fine, but seems to be like a fantasy. It can be a great gain, yes, if one can achieve it. But if you cannot achieve it, it is impractical. Why is it impractical? So come to verse 33. Arjuna Uvacha. That means Arjun is asking the Lord. Yoyam yogastvaya proktaha samyena madhusudana etasyaham na pashyami janjalatvat sthitim sthiram. Look what he's saying. Very logical argument. He says, "Oh, yes, this is very good, very nice goal, and very good to attain everything." But he says that I don't think this is possible. I don't think this is possible. He says, Etasyaham na pashyami. I don't see it being achieved. Pashya means to see. So I don't see it to be possible. Why? Because chanchalam, the mind is chanchal, all the time wobbly, and asthitim sthiram. That means it is never still, it keeps moving, it keeps flowing. So, how can you achieve a goal like this? It is not possible, because now see, He says, excellent but impossible. And Arjun is almost saying that this is a fantasy. Fantastic idea. Fantastic idea. Utopian idea. Huh? But a utopian idea is not a practical idea. Right? So, for the very nature of the mind is chanchala and asthira. Asthira means not stationary. Chanchala means all the time moving, all the time moving. It doesn't stay in one place. So be careful. अपने यहाँ लक्ष्मी को कहते हैं चंचला चंचला. She doesn't stay in one place. She keeps moving. So when is she ready to go out of your house? That you must think. Huh? So chanchala. ये देखो अस्तना. So mind is basically thought flow. There is no organ of your body called the mind, like hands, face, neck, eyes. ऐसी कोई चीज mind नहीं है. There is brain. Brain is an organ, but mind is not an organ. Mind is thought flow. So how can that flow be stopped? According to Krishna's philosophy, the mind becomes totally still and mind becomes achanchala and mind becomes totally quiet and peaceful. How is that possible? Hmm? So Arjun is asking that even through hard labor of years and years and years, supposing you were able to achieve this goal, supposing, huh? But he says that this goal will not last. So there is a difficulty in applying this philosophy. He says that even if you achieve it, there will be no continuity because of the restlessness of the mind. Dekho, the translation for this verse is Arjuna said, this yoga of equanimity taught by thee, he's talking to his teacher, the guts to challenge his teacher. This yoga of equanimity taught by thee, O slayer of Madhu. I just explained this. I see not. He says, na name pashyami. That means I do not see its enduring continuity because of the restlessness of the mind. It is totally impractical. The mind itself is restless. Asthira. Huh? He says that it is asthira, it is not sthit. तो फिर कैसे ये when it is not lasting, the difficulty in applying the philosophy, first of all, even if you can apply it after a lot of hard work, it does not last. So what is the great idea? What is the great idea of doing that much of labor? ये सब कर लिया और फिर वो restless mind, again it becomes restless. In a minute, it takes the mind seconds to become restless again. So Arjuna, dekho, over here has picked up his own teacher's words. In verse 26 of this same chapter, he has used the words. He has used the, Krishna has used the words. I am reading now. He has used the word manasa chanchala asthiram. Krishna ने खुद कहा है that the mind is chanchal and asthira. तो जब वो खुद कहा है तो you know, clever student, he is using the same words as the teacher. You yourself has said, sir, what are you talking about a stable mind? What are you talking about an absolutely sthir mind? It's not possible. He says, you yourself in the same chapter have said in verse 26 that manasa chanchala asthiram. So the backbone of the philosophy breaks. आप बात ही क्या कर रहे हैं? When the basic is not correct, what a castle are you building on it? There is no foundation to your philosophy. So then, it is something like saying, if the sea could be calm, then the sky, divinity of the sky will reflect beautifully on the waters. But will the sea ever be calm? So it is an impossibility. Yes, definitely on still water, the sky reflects very nicely. That much is fine. Yeah. but it will never happen in the sea. So how can the sea reflect the water? So when this kind of calmness will never happen to the mind, the philosophy is baseless and useless. Hmm? It will never be calm. Now he calls him over here, see, he calls him Madhusudana, isn't that? Yeah. He calls him Madhusudana. Madhusudana means the killer or the slayer of Madhu. Now, in the Krishna story, if you take it as a story, Krishna has killed many demons. One of the Rakshasas demons that he kills is called Madhu. He kills Madhu. So they say that Madhu to Rakshas tha. So if you face Krishna or you surrender to Krishna, Krishna will kill all the Rakshasas in your mind. Krishna will destroy all the negativities of your mind. All the bad thoughts, evil thoughts in your mind will be destroyed by Krishna. That is why Madhusudana won. And the deeper symbolic meaning, the Upanishadic literature lore, the meaning of Madhusudana is that, see, Madhu is honey, है ना? So they say that the symbolism given in the Upanishad is that the body is the beehive, okay, and the bees are the thoughts and the desires, and they go around looking for honey. Okay, where will I get pleasure? So they go from flower to flower, flower to flower, collecting. Haven't we collected in our homes? This I got from China, that I got from America, that I got from London. This is a this is a thing. I went to Thailand, so I got it from there. This I went to New Zealand, I got it from there. And you go on collecting as if those things are going to give you happiness. If you ask me, rather than happiness, they give you trouble. Dust it, polish it, keep it, maintain it. And then one of your staff breaks it. हो गया ना? So that is the impossibility. He says that just the body being the beehive, the bees being the thoughts and the desires that run out into the world, chasing and looking for honey, looking for pleasures. Honey equal to pleasures that you are hunting after. And you keep bringing them, keep bringing them, keep bringing them, keep bringing them. And then one fine day, they take the bee hunters, the honey hunters, they take down the beehive and all the bees are killed or removed. So then they want your collection, they don't want you. You understand? Ah, that is what happens when the new generation is coming up. They want what you can give to them, what you possess, whatever you have collected, that. And they can only get it when you are destroyed. So just think of the simile, how interesting it is. Huh? So he calls him Madhusudana. He says, help me, O Lord, to kill all the negativities, the running after pleasures and desires that I have spent my whole life in doing. And even now I am here on this battlefield to do that only. So he calls him Madhusudana. And of course, he says that this gain is not lasting and it cannot be possible. Come to verse 34. He continues his argument, Arjuna saying, Chanchalam himana Krishna pramathe balavadram tasyaham nigraham manye vayo sudushkaram. Look what he says. He says, Chanchalam himana Krishna. This is a very famous verse, very often quoted by people who cannot meditate. They say that वो तो अर्जुन ने कहा ही वही सच है, चंचलम हिमना कृष्णा. So it's not possible to meditate. Huh? So this they say that since it is not possible, tasya ham nigraham manye vayuriva sudushkaram. Look at the simile he gives. Arjun is giving a very apt simile. He says it is very difficult to calm the mind. It is sudushkaram, he says. Sudushkaram means very, very difficult to attain. And kaisa sudushkaram? Like capturing the wind. Vayur iv. Vayu is wind, and iv means like the air, like the wind. You cannot capture wind. It is too subtle for you to capture it. So he says, tasyaham nigraham. आप उसका निग्रह नहीं कर सकते. You cannot capture it. You cannot control it. Just like just like the air. And how is the mind? Look what he says. Look at the words he uses. Pramathe, balavad, and drinam. He has used three words here. तीन वर्ड्स चंचलम प्रमाथि बलवद दृढ़म. चंचलम तो बोल ही दिया पहली लाइन में. फिर प्रमाथि बलवद दृढ़म चार वर्ड्स यूज करे हैं. अर्जुन uses these epithets for the mind. अच्छा, अभी अगर if this is the, and he says this is the nature of the mind, so then what can human being do, and how can a human being be blamed for this? This is what is known in today's language as the manufacturer's defect. है ना? अब मैन्युफैक्चरर्स डिफेक्ट आप क्या करोगे? वो तो भगवान ने बनाया. ही इज मेड इट लाइक दैट. द माइंड इज मेड लाइक दैट. So you are going against the creation of the Lord, are you? This is what Arjun is saying. And he says that Arjun is saying anybody else's mind, I don't care. I know my own mind. Because he himself is standing on the battlefield, full of the desire to win, full of the desire to take revenge, full of the desire to attain victory and win over his kingdom back again, the desire to destroy his enemies. All these are desires for which he is here. So he says, I know my own mind. My own mind is all the time full of agitation. He became so nervous that the weapons were falling from his hands, and there were tears in his eyes. There was horripilation on his body. So, what was all that? The mind playing, the mind of Arjun playing. So, he says that the mind has got tremendous strength, it has got tremendous vigor, it has got tremendous power, like the wind. Out of all the elements, he has chosen to compare it with the wind, because the wind has movement, the wind is all pervading, the wind is all the time difficult to capture. You cannot enclose it, you cannot tie it, you cannot make it still. And that is why the simile fits very beautifully with the wind. He is calling it Vayu river Sudushkaram. And he uses over here, देखो उन्होंने जैसे उसमें he is saying Madhu, then in this verse he is saying Krishna. उधर तो उन्होंने मधुसूदन कहा था for a certain purpose. Here he is calling him Krishna. The word Krish has different meanings. It also has a root of attraction. So Krishna was very attractive. So Krish is the power that pulls you towards. And that pulling also has a scraping effect. So Krish, or the word Krish root also means to scrape. And here he is saying that Krishna, you should scrape away the difficulties for any person to rise or to make his mind go higher. Otherwise, there is no way that a human being can control his mind. That is why he calls him Krishna. And देखो Krishna pramathe balavad dridham. He says देखो प्रमाथि means turbulent. आपने वो मथनी देखी है? द सेम वर्ड मथनी, वो जो दही मथते हैं, बहुत सारा दही इकट्ठा करके वो गांव में, अब तो नहीं करते हैं, नाउ एवरीबॉडी हैज मिक्सीज, बट व्हाट द मिक्सी डज इज आल्सो मथन. मथन मींस churning. So the turbulence of churning, balvad, vad means with. Anything जिसमें वध लगा हो, it means with this. तो balvad means extremely powerful, having a lot of strength. And dridham means firm. So जैसे ये है, mind is like this, and so this powerful mind is very very difficult to control. और संस्कृत में ये एक बड़ा interesting चीज होती है, that a proper noun is used in a proper place to depict and denote a certain quality of the man that you are addressing. आपने देखा होगा गीता में, he calls Arjun by many names. Sometimes he calls him Kaunteya, which is with reference to his mother Kunti. है ना? Then Krishna means that you are the son of Kunti, I love you. He calls him Anagha. Anagha means the sinless one. He calls him Mahabahu. Huh? And he calls him Dhananjaya. So different times he calls him by different names to mean different things. Similarly here, he calling him, ये उधर कहा है क्या, what did he call him, Madhusudana, and here he is calling him Krishna. So it is not just without purpose, it is with purpose. So basically both these verses are only saying one thing, that it is extremely difficult to do what you said, O teacher. So your philosophy, you only tell me how this can be possible. I don't think it is possible. Very gutsy student, questioning student, and that is what Hinduism is all about, respecting the intellect of the student with relation to the teacher. Nothing is taken down blindly. No Vedantic student will swallow anything blindly. He wants logic. He wants it explained scientifically. Okay. So this much for today. And ॐ पूर्णमद पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरि ओम् श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम्।